right, let's have a look over here for a minute. Give me a second. I'm just doing some homework on the Astrodoodle. Well, nobody's here, but that's expected. It's a Monday night. I hardly ever do anything on a Monday night here. And we just had the freakish solar eclipse. Actually, it was fabulous. I'm going to connect over here. I just finished my Astrodoodle. I tried to keep it super lean and super simple. I added even too much color. You can remove almost all of that red. I only put the red there to highlight the powerful, like the 6 planets over here and the stellium and the conjunctions over here, conjunctions over here, conjunctions over here. Conjunctions are the strongest connections. Then there's oppositions. We don't have any major oppositions. I mean, there's Lilith, there's probably the asteroids and different fixed stars and things, but in terms of the basic planets, this is what we've got. So this is very, very intense energy, and nobody knows what to do with it. There's a little sweet harmony here between Pluto in Aquarius and Venus in Aries. It's like a sextile, okay? Nice. Yeah, there. So this is what it looks like on the ephemeris. Mercury is still retrograde, as you can see from here. That's the sun, that's the moon. It was all happening around 19 to 20 degrees in Aries. Okie dokie. And Venus just went into Aries. That's this over here. Otherwise, we have Venus, North Node, Chiron, Sun, Moon, Mercury, all in Aries in that cluster. Last night I did a more animated chart, which looks very similar to this one, but I put a lot more illustration on it. The Aries vibe is absolutely enormous. And then you have to factor in the eclipse, which was sort of like stalling everything out on the highway of life. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. This was the one I did the night before on Saturday. Remember that one? The Pisces stellium. Hello, necessary. Pisces stellium and the stress factors with Gemini, Sagittarius, and Virgo. And then the Aries stellium over here with the stress factors on Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra. So, you know, this is all ongoing. Today I'm just trying to keep it very basic. I'm still not capable of illustrating it the way I'd really like to. I guess the only thing I could do is like a really tight close-up. Maybe let me just do something here a moment. Just bear with me. Hi there, I see you. Let's just pretend this is part of the chart over here. All right, and so there's the 0 degree mark. Aries. There is Mars and Saturn over here, and there's Neptune over here. Okay, so Neptune is over here, Mars and Saturn are right over here, and all right. So I don't know if you can see what I'm trying to do here, but it's basically something like this. Venus, North Node, Chiron, Venus, North Node, Chiron, Sun, Moon, Mercury. That is a huge spread, okay? So I'll mark it out here. Venus, North Node, Chiron, Sun, Moon, and Mercury. Okay, let's see if I can make a little more sense here. Okay. So that is one hell of a procession. That's all Aries. The moon is already passed over the sun, and we're moving on in time and history. The sun is what, at 20, 21 degrees? Now the moon is at 24 or something. So we've moved on. But this is what it all looked like today. Does that make sense? Does that make a little bit more clarity? In other words, this mess in here and this mess in here looks like this more in a close-up, okay? So this is the Aries stuff. This is the Pisces stuff over here. And of course there's everything else. There's the Taurus over here and so on. Does that make sense? Give me a second, folks. I'm gonna have a little refreshment because it's fairly late in the day and I've been up since about 6 a.m. and I need a little refreshment here. Thank you very much. Cheers, everybody. So, since there's just me and Necessary Truth here hanging out right now, whoever else watches this video, they'll probably be seeing it after it loads up onto the channel, and maybe you get a notification. Now, Necessary Truth, while you're here, I'd like to ask you if you're noticing any commercials, any advertising. And there's a reason I'm asking. Okay, for this particular video, I stripped everything out on my channel. There's no monetization. There's nothing going on here. It's just TarotLumination broadcasting through YouTube. There's no way to make money or anything like that, even if I wanted to. So, and as far as I know, if I demonetize the channel and I demonetize the video, my belief is that YouTube would not post commercials on here. Maybe they will. I don't really know. I don't know how it works because I don't really watch my own channel. But anyway, I just thought I would ask. So let me know, Necessary, if you've got a moment and you're watching. If you want to, just let me know if you see any commercials. That will be a very telling thing. I'm not going to be here long. I just wanted to hang out for a little bit. So, I don't know about you, but I saw the eclipse on the NASA, North American Space Agency cameras. And the eclipse, they filmed the eclipse all the way from Mazatlan in Mexico, across Texas, up through Arkansas, up through Illinois, over there into Ohio, across over there into New York, and then up into Maine, and then it went out over into the Atlantic. And it was really, really beautiful. Just truly beautiful. I've been very lucky because I've seen these eclipses in real life, in person, without any cameras or anything like that. And it's awe-inspiring. It's no wonder everybody kind of stops everything that they're doing and kind of goes like this, like, because it's a beautiful thing. It lasts about 4 minutes when you're very, very close to the point where the eclipse is perfect. It takes about 4 minutes for the moon to eclipse the sun completely. Pretend I'm the sun. It takes about 4 minutes. This part here, it takes about 4 minutes. It feels, I mean, it's different because once it starts to come in like this, once the eclipse starts, the sun fades away and the sun is completely eclipsed. And at that speed, the sun is still moving, remember. At that speed, the sun goes like this and the moon goes like that. So the shadow goes from my hat over to there. But anyway, so this period, that period of the total eclipse is about 4 minutes. It's not fixed. It's actually shifting the whole time. But for that 4 minutes, you can see the full umbra of the sun that you can't normally see. What happens, the moon blocks out the sun, and it gives a chance to expose all the plasma and the radiation that's happening around the sun. And if you watch the cameras closely on a big screen, you could see all the solar flares popping up. There were multiple solar flares shooting up out of the sun. And you can't normally see that. I like to watch science channels where they show the solar flares in extreme detail. It's fantastic to watch. And that's when you truly understand that climate and weather is 95% under the influence of the sun. Human influence? a little bit. But the vast bulk of climate experience is the result of the behavior of the sun and how our planet orbits around the sun. And there are very measurable cycles. Anyway, it was a beautiful thing. I hope you did get to see it. There are going to be, of course, streams on YouTube to show it. You'll see it if you really want to. But it's kind of like for that period of time, I watched the whole thing, all the way from here to here. It only took about, I don't know, an hour, if that. And at all those points, that's when they showed the totality of the eclipse. It was really quite something. NASA had multiple cameras all over the country already set up in advance to take those pictures. And it turned out I was watching one of my weather apps, very accurate weather maps, and it showed how all the big cloud cover, there was a lot of cloud cover that was sort of over here, like this area, and it all shuffled over to here. So for the vast part of the journey of the eclipse, it was a clear sky. So you got to see the full thing. Hi Esther, I see you. Greetings. Anyway, let me show you something, Esther. Thanks for visiting. This is my astrodoodle for today. It's very similar to the one from last night and from Saturday, but I'm trying to simplify things here. These are all the planets all piled up here in a procession. Okay, it's all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all over here. There's little Pluto over there. And so, because I can only do so much with my artwork, I was trying to illustrate a close-up. So, this is kind of what it looks like close up. All right, Esther? If I had really powerful computers and expensive softwares, I could do this for you. And it would look like I was a NASA scientist. But here we are. There's the Aries sector. There's the Pisces sector. This is very troubling over here and here. We already know about that. But this is the where all the action is at the moment. Over here in Aries, we got 6 elements all piled up. We got Venus, North Node, Chiron, Sun, Moon, and Mercury all piled up here. Now the eclipse was over here around 20 degrees of the Sun, okay? Yeah, they did. It was a real party. I hope you saw some of it online, Esther. I was lucky I saw the NASA cameras. It was fantastic. Really beautiful. I was telling Necessary that I've seen these in real life myself. Anyway, this is a huge Aries influence. But like I was talking about with Love Triber, I was sensing inside of me that as the moon was coming in through here, things became very, very subdued and quiet and peaceful for me. I have to track the moon very carefully. It's a very personal thing. And then when the moon gets close to here, things went extremely quiet. Hardly anything happened on my email or anything like that. I was very mellow. My life was mellow. My body was mellow. And then the moon arrived here today. And I was watching the screens. I was watching the news, all sorts of things. And basically what I felt is kind of what happened. And I'm going to try to illustrate it in a moment. But anyway, over here, this is where the angle of the eclipse was. So at that moment, the moon blocks out the sun. So with all this powerful Aries energy, Aries sun energy, at this very important moment, it's like it was somebody pulled out the plug, you know? Personally, I found it very peaceful. I loved it. It was a sense of relief, a big pause in life, in the world, as millions of people took a break to watch. It's never been watched in the world at such a scale before, ever. It's quite spectacular. Alrighty, over here. Yes, to me, it was like a whole, like everything was deflated. Huge amounts of stress just disappeared out of my body. I was quite glad, because when you have a lot of planets moving forward direct, yes, we have little Mercury going retrograde, and we've got our problems with, there's technical problems on the computer, on the car, and things like that. Classic Mercury retrograde, but I like to take advantage of the retrogrades, and so I feel very, very much in tune with the energy as it is. Even though it's very extreme and it's very stressful, I feel that I am actually in the flow, in a state of harmony with this energy. So what if there are 6 entities piled up in Aries? So what about the eclipse? Just flow. If you go with the flow, it's a beautiful thing. Just beautiful. Yes, it was just complete over-the-top broadcasting stress. Yeah. But inside of me personally, I became very, very mellow. Because it's like somebody switched off the sun. And the sun is the source of all life, power, and energy in our existence. On our little world here. This place here is 4.5 billion years old. It's going to be around for about another 4 billion years, according to the scientists, and after that, we're gone. Kapoof! Yeah. I wanted to go through some things. I was observing stuff all over the world. I'll show you. Well, let me show you. Stay there a second. I was here, and give me a second. So, excellent stress. I'm glad so I'm not the only one who sensed that. So I was up very early this morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock, because I wanted to get early in line for my x-rays. I've got a lot of spinal issues at the moment, which is, I'll tell you about that in a sec. No, I'm going to tell that now, okay? I'm having a lot of spinal issues right now. I had major surgery 30 years ago because I broke my back and messed up a load of vertebrae and discs, and I've had to live with it since. And so I have to watch Saturn carefully, okay? Because Saturn relates to your bones, your skeleton. And Saturn is under a lot of stress right now. Saturn is conjoined Mars. It's like Mars wants to do something important and useful. Mars is associated with the sign, the planet that rules Aries. Mars wants to fight, to go, to get, to chase, to hunt, to succeed, to win, to race and get stuff done, to have success. But in Pisces, it's very hard for Mars to operate effectively. It gets kind of lost and dreamy. Secondly, Saturn is conjoining Mars over here. So Saturn in Pisces is bringing out the reality check regarding how the world betrays itself, how governments betray the citizens, how people and individuals betray themselves. And we have to become aware of that and learn the very, very hard way. And without going into much more detail for myself, these particular degrees of Pisces are extremely acute for me, personally, in my personal astrology. So this is like a very, very painful, tragic, sad wake-up call for me personally. It's a grim reminder of what my life was like 30 years ago. And it's very, very hard to stop re-injuring myself because I'm typically very optimistic. I love to be active. But for anybody who's got major spine issues, you realize that almost everything you do in your life hinges around your lower spine. It's like a fulcrum. It's like a center. It's like a pivot point for your whole life. And once that part is broken, it's like having the chassis of your car snapped in half in the middle, and you're just trying to hold it together with duct tape, you know? Anyway. So this is very personal for me. I'm struggling with this one. I don't have direct effects from Aries, but I have secondary effects, which are very, very strong, very stressful. You've got upper spine too. Yeah, me too. Oh, God. So, anyway, with all this Aries energy here, there's a global push for wanting to be the self, wanting to get done what has to be done. People want to be who they are. So, since a lot of that over the last 40, 50, 60 years has been heavily repressed, manipulated, and controlled by these extremely powerful, expanding, cancerous governments, it's putting a lot of pressure on humanity. 8 billion people under extreme duress, craving to be themselves, to have their own sovereign energy and to reclaim their sovereign selves, as opposed to being peons, servants, cattle that are farmed, managed, exploited, mistreated by the elites. I'm not a member of the elite class, so I can't talk about it from their point of view, but from my observation, they believe that they are above us, and they operate on the assumption that they are gods. They have God-given privileges to override things like honesty, truth, compassion, integrity. And they give themselves permission to lie, steal, betray, pervert, destroy, undermine, blackmail, coerce, murder, kill, steal, in order to achieve their agenda. And they forgive themselves because they just say, well, it's part of human nature. But because it's despicably and undisputably evil, they have to package it as though they're doing you a favor. It's just how it is. You know, it's the old adage, vote for me and I will save you. Okay, look what happened to Argentina. Vote for me and I will save you. Look what happened to Venezuela, Colombia, all over Central America. Corruption everywhere. It's like a massive, massive disease. The whole of this planet is infected. The whole planet is infected by the disgusting evil energy of these elites. I look around the neighborhood over here, and you know how I give the analogy of weeds or cancer, and almost everybody bought into this theory that they can protect their hardscape landscape yards by getting rid of their lawn, covering it with this magic fabric stuff, which allows the air and the lawn and the grass and the ground to breathe, and water to come in and move into the dirt and have a sort of a natural environment. And then they could put all their gravel and stones and marble and stuff on top of that, and it looks really, really pretty. It's desert landscaping. That's what happens here in Las Vegas. And the whole industry of landscaping uses this thick black fabric, which is porous. And they tell you that this is the best stuff because it blocks the weeds, but it allows all the moisture to get through, in and out. Well, guess what? It's all lies. It's BS. They've made this stuff up to sell you this product, which doesn't work. Because everywhere I look, all these professionally graded, planned out landscapes use this thick, black, porous fabric. And guess what? Everywhere is covered in weeds. Everything. It's because we had big, heavy storms, enormous heavy storms, monsoon-type rain, saturated the ground, saturated all the gravel, all the hardscape. And guess what? Dormant weed seeds were there from centuries ago, probably. And they're all coming up. And people are wandering around looking at their gardens. I spent $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 on my hardscaping. It's a freaking mess. It's just weeds everywhere. I mean, it's one thing to have weeds in the grass and you can mow them and you can put a bit of, weed killer and selectively plucking and things like that. But when you've got a hardscape and you've been sold this package, which is a lie, it's just a scam. And I just see great parallels here with what's happened to the whole world. The whole world has been sold this amazing scam about how we're going to save you with these amazing climate agendas and how we're going to cut down methane. We're going to get rid of all the cows, all the chickens, all the pigs, and all the turkeys. We're going to grow insects. You're going to eat the insects and you're going to be happy. We're going to remove all the borders from here and here because America sucks. America is the ultimate impediment to global freedom. If we could just destroy the borders and fill America up with other people, then we can have peace again. And everything will be happy. Everything will be wonderful. You don't have to worry about borders. No borders, no problems. We, the elite, we will take care of you. We will make sure that you are protected. We're going to send out a police state force that monitors everything that you do. And if you think you've spotted one of your neighbors who looked at you funny, or they might have a gun in the house at home, or they said something rude about a Muslim, you report them to the police, and the police will come and arrest them and put them in jail. It's a wonderful system. In fact, to make extra sure, what we're going to do now is we're sending the military into our own country. We're sending our own military into our own country. It's fantastic. You're going to feel really, really good now. You don't have to worry. All the rape and assaults and the crime and the depravity that's going on, all the child trafficking, it's going to be fine because we're just going to shoot anybody that is a problem. But you don't have to worry. Remember, we told you this. This is how it works now. It's illegal to defend yourself. You're not allowed to defend yourself anymore. If somebody breaks into your house, you have to say, hello, here, what do you want? Keep it all. Okay? Next thing is, if somebody steals stuff out of your store, your shop, you can't report them. If you report those people and try to get them arrested, you're a bigot. You're a racist. You're a pig, and you're the one that's going to go to jail. Okay? Yeah. Hold on, let me have a look at the notes here. When I have my epidural, epidurals, oh God, I never cursed so much in my life. Started kicking and cursing. Oh my God, yes, awful. Don't use Roundup, I'm getting used to something popping up all the time. Oh. It was like you drilled a redwood into my... Ow, I'm sorry. Sorry. So, anyway. Yeah. I know what you're saying, Esther. I get it. Hello, Maximiliano. So, it's very, very bizarre. As you know, you probably heard, I'm going to go through a bunch of little things that I found today that actually made me feel good. Some of it's really bad stuff. The things I'm going to show in a minute, it's bad stuff. But it made me feel good because I've been predicting it for a long time, and now it's here. And so it all makes sense. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Yeah, that's brilliant. See, if you can do that, Esther, that's genius. We can agree to disagree. Some people can't do that. They literally can't do it. And you lose friends and family. So I'm pretty good at it because I don't... What's that expression? Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? So let's say I got really aggressive and tried to force my beliefs on top of you, Esther. What's the point in doing that? I'd rather you have you as a friend rather than try to convert you into some belief system that you don't believe, and vice versa. You know, it's much more fun to be happy. Like if I really, really wanted to get nasty about those things, I wouldn't do it here anyway. Hello, Ivona. Uh-oh. Excuse me. It's the president. Oh. Hello, Donald. Yes. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry, Donald. I'm doing a show. Yeah. Yeah, I could come down to Mar-a-Lago. I'd be happy to hang out. Is Tucker Carlson going to be there? And Kid Rock's going to be there? Oh, yeah. Sure, I'll bring my guitar. We're going to sing some of my songs, okay? Thanks, Donald. Sure, thanks for checking in. Yeah, I know I got you booked for a reading later this week. Don't worry, you don't have to tell anybody, Donald. It's just between you and me, all right? Don't even tell Melania. Don't tell your kids. Don't tell anybody. It's just you and me, okay? All right? Okay, take care, man. Good luck. Sorry. You know, he's the ex-president. I take his calls. Yeah. So, yeah. Let me just do a few things here. I'll show you. All right. Alrighty-ho, so I talked about the huge stellium over here and the sort of big decompression of the new moon eclipse. To me, it was beautiful. All right. And this was a farther away interpretation. Hold on, who's that? Maximiliano. Hi, Maximiliano. I'm just doing like a little rant here, a TarotLumination rant. Hopefully, by the way, now that we're here, I'm hoping you will notice that there should be no commercials, no ads, nothing. I demonetized this video before it even went live. Okay, I have the option to do that. I don't know if that affects you, but over here, that means it's impossible to make money. Uh-huh. Necessary, you want to be in the... necessary, I don't want to be rude, but when I'm doing a reading with Donald, it's just him and me, private. I do it on the Zoom, and, you know, if you... I'll ask him. Okay, I'll ask him if you want to join in. Maybe he needs a psychic, you know, mediumship reading from his mom or his sister, you know? Anyway, here's my little notes. There's tons of stuff going on in the world, but these are the things that really jumped out at me today. All right? So, let me see if I can do it on the map here. Right. Now, you might have heard about all the stuff going on in the Middle East over here. All right? There it is. There's Israel, and there's Gaza, and there's the Palestinians, there's Egypt, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and all of that, okay? So there's a huge kerfuffle over here. Iran apparently has nukes. India has nukes. China has nukes. Russia has nukes. Europe has nukes. We have nukes. What's going to happen? Doll spirit. Okay. Anyway, I can't do too much more detail. I don't have... let me see. I wonder if I do have a better world map. I love my maps. I don't think I have anything suitable. No, I don't have anything suitable at the moment. But just take it from me that over here, this is the Eastern Mediterranean. And you'll notice that it's extremely close. It's basically part of the Middle East oil fields. Well, you probably heard the news that Khan Yunis is completely evacuated now, and Rafah is going to be attacked, and Netanyahu is going to do a final purge to completely obliterate Hamas and the enemy over here. It's very turbulent with all the protests between the Palestinians and the Muslims versus the Israelis and all of that, and it's creating uproar all over the world. Basically, it's like, oh, everybody hates the Jews. Oh, everybody hates the Muslims. Muslims fighting Jews, Jews fighting Muslims. It's been going on for thousands of years, and this is just another chapter. Well, like we predicted long ago, many months ago, guess what's happening over here right now? Since the Gazan people are now basically obliterated, there isn't really a country anymore. There really isn't a location there anymore. On paper, it looks like Gaza, but it's all dead. Pretty much everyone there is dead, or the buildings are blown up. There's nothing there. There's no way to live there anymore. And so they're going to bulldoze everything. The Israelis are going to come in. They're just going to bulldoze everything and reclaim that strip of land. And why is that so? It's because of the maritime laws. Because over here, right at the tip of my pen, are massive oil and gas reserves that have not been tapped as yet because of political issues, territorial issues. But guess what? Israel has now conveniently obliterated the problem by removing Gaza. So as of today and yesterday and the rest of this week and for the upcoming future, Israel and all the big multinational oil and gas companies are now racing to secure their new oil and gas leases offshore over here. And guess what? It does not include the Arab states. Talk about an eclipse. The Arab states were eclipsed out of their own territory here. So it's all planned out. In other words, the killing of all these people and the death and the murder, it's political, it's religious, it's cultural. But what it's really about is money. Power, money, control. Oil and gas. There you go. So that happened. It's now proof. You know what I should do? See, I get all my stuff from... Hold on. Where's everybody? See, I do all my homework on my little devices, and I scroll through tons and tons of material, and then I select all my notes from there. And all of this stuff I get from really premium news sources. Really, really good stuff, okay? Oh, I'm sure the Saudis do just fine. Thank you, Esther. Yeah, the Saudis are blessed for many generations to come. So that was a very, very interesting story of confirmation of the eclipse. And that came from the Al Jazeera news source. And that's actually I believe it's run from, is it Qatar, Kuwait, or Saudi Arabia? I'm not sure. But anyway, it's an excellent news source. It's based in the Middle East, but they do worldwide news. The next story that really, really kind of scared me, frankly, because you know people have been ranting about all this climate cult stuff. And you know, my explanation for a lot of the climate issues are to do with Uranus in Taurus, over recently where there's been a lot of conjunctions and squares, tremendous stress. Uranus in Taurus is right here. Of course, it affects the global financial system on the global financial axis here. And Jupiter's getting very, very close. So the chaos and the unpredictability in the geomagnetic, I don't know, activities on Earth. In other words, what we talked about already. All the tectonic plates, the ring of fire, all over here. Earthquakes here, here, here. Earthquakes here, 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 here. There's thousands of earthquakes all the time, but they're getting really big and crazy right now. And that is going to happen as, let me think now, where is it going to be? I've got a couple of post-it notes here. Give me a second. Here it is when it comes exact. I made this, 6 months ago. On the 18th of April, which is only 10 days away, 2024, Jupiter will be conjunct with Uranus in Taurus. So, all the scary volcanoes, earthquakes, fires, and really bizarre, extreme, weird, unpredictable, extremely devastating, dangerous, mind-boggling geologic events are going to expand. Okay? Now, we just had an example of that in China. China just had, and also over here in Kazakhstan and Mongolia and over this parts of Russia, they just had astronomical storms and flooding over here. I mean, it's beyond biblical. It's just, if you could see the material, it's mind-boggling. Flooding for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. Millions of people's lives and homes and crops and everything destroyed. Homes, animals. It's very, very frightening. But of course, it's just nature doing its thing. The reason it's frightening for us people is because there's millions of people here. There's 1.4 billion people here. And so when nature's doing its thing, if nobody was there, nobody would care. But there's a lot of people, so it looks very tragic. So that just happened. That just happened over the last few days. So that explains this over here. Okay, and it's not stopping yet. It's not going to go away. So please allow for that. Also, you can take the same language with the global financial system. I don't know if you've noticed, but the price of gold has gone up about, 10-12% in the last month or two? It's mind-boggling. Gold today, if you had to go buy it, it's about $2,400 an ounce. So what does that tell you? It tells you that things are getting very, very scary in the world economy. It tells you that whatever Jerome Powell is telling us and whatever Janet Yellen is telling us about China and America, it's a pile of lies. America is on the verge of its own version of an implosion, while at the same time China is already imploding. We just had a meeting, another little secret mini meeting between Mr. Ping and Mr. Grandpa Joe. Mr. Ping is getting desperate, okay? The more and more desperate he becomes, because his country is economically imploding right now, he says the yuan is 1 to 7 for the dollar. But in fact, it's more like 1 to 24, okay? China is broke. Dead, flat broke, and it's imploding, and it's going to get a lot worse. So what does Mr. Ping do? He tells the rest of the world that everything's going great. He has the biggest army in the world, and he's going to destroy America and Japan and Australia and New Zealand and Europe. And he's going to build up Russia and Africa and take it all for himself. The guy is delusional. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets assassinated in the near future, personally. Because there's a billion Chinese people who are sick of it. They're just sick of being Chinese under the CCP. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, a lot of that disaster stuff is also happening in Russia, okay? But Russia can handle it. Russia only has about 180 million people. Can you imagine that? There's Russia, okay? It's, what, 3 or 4 times the size of the United States, and it has half the population. Most of the population lives right here, and a couple of little spots here and here. That's it. But they have a vast and very capable military. Anyway, the next thing that I saw, which, again, I'm relating it to the eclipse, okay? You've probably heard of this fellow Alejandro Mayorkas. He's the DHS secretary. He's the one who's responsible for implementing the policies of open borders for Grandpa Joe. And it is a complete an aberration of the Constitution. And this Mayorkas guy it's complete treason. He's a complete criminal. Anyway, the impeachment articles are now being presented into Congress this week. Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, he should be impeached and put in prison. But my feeling is that with the eclipse, the ability to make that happen for the Mars energy is very weak over here to actually implement this impeachment is going to be very, very difficult, because guess what? You've got, okay, let me go over here. Sorry. This is, to me, this is kind of important. It's very symbolic. Empty. Damn. So this impeachment has been building up for a long time. There's also the impeachment of Grandpa Joe and the impeachment of, well, it's not an impeachment, but the criminal trial against the son of Grandpa Joe, and so on. And there's a lot of stuff, hoo-ha going on in Washington with all the politics and, the left versus the right and all of that stuff. But the impeachment of Mayorkas is a big deal. In my opinion, it should go forward. No questions about it. Just set up the trial, put it into the Senate. The Senate opens up. They have to do it by law. But I can almost bet you that the Senate will find a way to eclipse the impeachment out of existence. And Mayorkas will just walk around going, hello, hi, I can still be me. I am Alejandro Mayorkas. I'm going to keep the borders open, and we're just going to have a really trippy time in America. All the criminals of the world can come. Make yourself at home. We're going to give you money. We're going to give you employment. We're going to give you housing. We're going to give you food. Don't worry about who you are. Just come over here and just make sure that you vote Democrat. Okay? It's really, really simple. So that's the plan. That's what's happening right now. I truly believe that despite all the power of the House, and the House I don't know what to say. It kind of breaks my heart that our beautiful thing is so fragile, it's been so undermined, so distorted, so trashed, that it's almost eclipsed. This is very close to being eclipsed itself. That scares the poop out of me. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make with Mayorkas is that the impeachment is moving forward. The next step is to bring it into the Senate tomorrow, and then the Senate is supposed to set a trial date and set up and organize the jury and put it to trial. The Senate is controlled by Democrats. The House is controlled by Republicans. Guess what's going to happen? The senior House, which is the Senate, is going to override the lower house. And Uncle Chuck and his gang are going to find a way to just kind of go, Impeachment? Oh, I'm sorry. We've got much more important things to do with the Middle East. We got to take care of climate. We got to take care of the abortion issue. We got to take care of, I don't know, electric cars. We got to take care of solar panels. We don't have time to deal with the Mayorkas impeachment. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I just wanted to make that point. Eclipsed. Okay, I got more stuff here. The American Constitution and the United States as we know it, I believe, is being eclipsed. Oh my gosh, sorry, Donald. Sorry. That was Chuck Schumer. He's trying to call me on behalf of Grandpa Joe and say, hey, TarotLumination, please can you use your influence to try and make this impeachment thing go away? It's very, very tricky. I'm doing everything I can, but I really need your special help. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm one of the people I want Mayorkas impeached. Sometimes you have to be really blunt and direct with these politicians. They think they can bribe me and twist me around their little fingers. Ha! Anyway, there's this outstanding investigative journalist. His name is Josh Phillips. He is part of the NTD network, part of the Epoch Times network. And he does very deep dive investigative stuff all across the world, especially regarding China, Africa, America, Central America, basically everywhere. And the one that he drafted today is very, very disturbing. Now, we've known this for a long time. The Mexican cartels are inside America. Not only that, they are now all across America. They have major hubs inside of every major city. And on top of that, they are now moving into not the suburbs, but rural areas. Because it's much easier for the cartels to control the rural populations and the rural land. And so they're happening all over here, here and here, here, all over, all the way up into here. And they work kind of in collusion with the Chinese, because the Chinese are doing exactly the same thing. The whole idea is about human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, fentanyl and methamphetamine trafficking. And that's how they make their money. And they do it the way they do it. You do it at the end of a gun. Okay? That's how they get done what they do. And they get enormous amounts of money because the elites and the extremely wealthy people, who are the ones who pay very, very large sums of money to get hold of these children and the slaves for labor camps, for food processing, for example. The cartels get huge amounts of money from that, so they have enormous power. So guess what's happening? You already know that Mexico is basically owned and operated by the cartels. Okay? The cartels, what is their business model? We already know their business model is bribery, blackmail, murder, coercion. Okay? They do business at the end of a gun. Okay? If you don't do what they like or what they want, they kill you. It's very, very simple. So they go to all the politicians over here and the chiefs of police and all the policemen themselves, and they say, hi guys, guess what? If you don't do what we do, we're going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get your mother, your father, your children, and your children's children, and your nieces and nephews. Okay? So do this deal. Make this deal happen so I can get my fentanyl and my meth into America and spread it around. So they already do that. They've been doing it for decades. But now, some of their major hubs and operations are actually operating from inside America. Okay? And it's becoming very blatant, very, very obvious now. And it's starting to scare rural American populations. And the tricky part is that you might have heard this expression, the soft white underbelly. The soft white underbelly of America. If you think of America, in some ways it's very privileged because there's only 350 million people here, but we basically have all this land and all these resources. The original pioneers and the founders took it from the Native Americans, and then they brought slavery in, they built up businesses, they did coal mining and industrial revolution and steel, and they built up this amazing thing we have, America. It's been a very bumpy, violent ride, and it's going to continue to be a very bumpy, violent ride because we're recycling, again, from Pluto and Aquarius 250 years ago. And the previous 250 years ago to that 250 years ago was loaded with violence and revolution. But that was in the 1500s or whatever, when that one started. Anyway, back to my point. The cartels now operate inside the United States. And early today, I wrote back to the Josh Phillips team, and because they were asking for commentary, and so I brought them my commentary. And I got a lot of replies. Basically, I wrote into there, I said, sadly, tragically, the only way to deal with cartel members is to kill them. Face-to-face, one-on-one. That's the only way. It's literally assassination, exterminations, bounty hunting. You go and you kill them. And when you do that, then that's the only way you can exterminate them. Because unless you kill them, they will just keep doing what they do. And that's the problem, is the soft white underbelly of America is heavily dominated by basically peace-loving Christians. America is a heavily dominant Christian nation. It's about 85% Christian. And population is about 73% white. So you put that together, the soft white underbelly. They want to be loving. They want to have families. They want to have nice food. They want to have their farms and everything. But all of that is being destroyed live in real time. And they don't want to just walk around all day long carrying an AR-556 on their shoulder in case they run into a cartel member on the way to dropping their kids off to school. They want to have their nice homes, their nice houses, their nice villages, their nice communities, their nice towns. But it's being destroyed live, real time, okay? Anyway, it's happening live right now, so please don't be surprised. America and our Constitution is being eclipsed. It doesn't mean it's going to die or go away because the Aries sun is already back out again. But at this moment in time, I've been watching signs of the eclipse, okay? There's another thing happening with China and how China is eclipsing America across Africa. Now, you probably all know that over the last 150 years, Africa was effectively colonized by France, England, Holland, Netherlands, America, the Dutch, some of the Spanish, in order to pilfer all of the minerals, okay? Because Africa is extremely mineral rich. You know, like heavy metals and so on, gold, silver, cobalt, lithium, oil, gas, all those things. They're loaded. The problem is that the colonizers from here and here, they want all that stuff and they want it cheap. So the way they do it is over the years, they try to keep the country poor and decrepit while the resources are harvested. The last thing the colonists want is to allow Africa to have sovereignty and have its own wealth. Africa is it's a very tragic place. There's a lot of pain and suffering there, especially right here. And China figured out the business model. And China has realized, wow, what we're going to do what America does, but only on a different scale. So China is all over Africa now, as you probably know, and it's part of their Belt and Road thing. They have Confucius schools. They have training camps for how to be a good communist. They have books and teaching about this, the CCP and the Mr. Ping's Little Red Book to try and turn China into this communist country. Turn Africa into this communist country. The African people don't want it, but the African population lives at the mercy of their leaders, because almost every country in here is operated by like thug, tyrant type leaders. So it's a perfect match between these countries and China. Thug respects a thug. Violence respects violence. So it's very, very tragic. And what's happening is America is being squeezed out of here. Europe is being squeezed out of here, and Africa and Chinese are taking over. Basically, the colonizers have been eclipsed. They are being eclipsed out of China, okay? Live, real time. Oh, what was the other thing I had? Here's the other thing that I had. I found this extremely interesting. You've probably heard of TikTok. I used to have a TikTok account until I was shut down. The people who run the TikTok, there's a lot of it, apparently a Chinese influence. And I was being very, very open with my commentary and my feelings and my views. And they shut me down. So I don't do TikTok anymore. But I have to tell you, I loved my little TikTok when I had it. And TikTok is very, very controversial right now in Washington. Now, why is that? They're telling you it's very controversial, this TikTok thing, because TikTok is owned and operated by China, and TikTok is actually a spy tool for China. And the stupid white underbelly Americans are too dumb to figure it out, and if they did figure it out, they don't care. They just want their TikTok. Give me my TikTok. In reality, TikTok is owned by global conglomerates, big chunks of America, big chunks of Oracle, computer guys, what's his name? Larry Ellison. I'm sure I know that this ByteDance is part of it, but the problem is that they're trying to say TikTok is a problem because it's a Chinese spy tool. Well, I can tell you what's happening. TikTok is becoming a primary news source on top of things like Google, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and the mainstream news. Now, why is that happening? It's because TikTok is just populated by hundreds of millions of ordinary people telling their stories and news without any form of censorship. So guess what? That is an enormous problem for the censorship industrial complex that is organized out of here by the CIA, the FBI, the NSA. Okay? So the real reason some people in Washington are trying to ban TikTok is because TikTok is eclipsing the mainstream media and the alternative media. It's becoming one of the #1 dominant independent alternative news sources, if you can possibly believe that. But that's what's happening. And that is terrifying to the elites. That's terrifying to the censorship people. Over here in Europe, the biggest problem for the European Union and the World Economic Forum, their #1 problem above climate, above everything, above net zero, above food, above global warming, their biggest problem is misinformation. They are terrified that people will figure out the truth of what's happening on Earth. Okay. Now, this really isn't about the eclipses. This is just something I wanted to note. We're at this cataclysmic phase here in world history. It happens every 250 years. There are all sorts of economists and global historians. They talk about this particular cycle, okay? But they don't know what it is. Obviously, the main astrologers know what it is. It's the Pluto cycle. Every 250 years, empires grow, empires die. That's what happens. Sometimes you get a double dose. You get a 500-year empire or a 750-year empire, sort of like Rome. But in general, the empires are about 250 years. The British Empire was about 250 years. The American Empire, as we know it, is just completing its 250-year cycle. So what's happening now is people are starting to wonder, we're going to have the same wars again. This time it's World War III. We've got, basically what's happening is, as the final degrees of Pluto and Capricorn are imploding, something new has to happen. And that's going to take a 20-year journey here, because this is where the cycle starts. So, obviously, like Esther says, world government is inevitable. But, is it? Because as we edge further and further over here into the new cycle, we're going to head further and further towards an official World War III. It may not be declared officially as World War III because what we're having is global crises breaking out all over the planet. Okay? Basically, evil is now being described as good, and good is now being described as evil. You just ask any one of the elites, and that's what they will tell you. So, part of their agenda in the near future is to impose a police state, which is like a massive censorship and enslavement system, and that will be backed up by martial law. This is all planned out for the United States. The elites, the world government, is planning a police state and martial law inside of America. And the problem with that, there are a certain number of Americans who are going to say, no, this is not acceptable. Not acceptable. So that is a recipe for more war. Okay? Thank you for that comment there, Russian Thoughtbot. I see what you're saying. So that's the thing is, the thing about Pluto in Aquarius, its very, very powerful message is freedom. The journey here is all about freedom from tyranny. Over here, the 29-degree Pluto in Capricorn, that's tyranny. That's communism. That's one world government. Over here, this is freedom from the shackles. And because the shackles are already spread all across the world, you've probably noticed that the one world government is already operating, at least as well as it can, through its proxies. And now they want to make it official. They literally want to create the one world government, which is controlled by the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the United States Federal Reserve, and the United States Federal Banking System, and the multinational conglomerates. And all of that is owned and operated by Blackstone, Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, Blackstone, and all the other big multi-trillion-dollar asset managers. That's their plan. That's what they want. They're already doing it, but it's very, very patchy. Now they want to formalize it and turn everything in here into one world order. There you go. My feeling is that it's not going to happen because there's going to be resistance. There's going to be violent resistance. Once Pluto accelerates later this year and into the next 20 years, it's going to get very violent, especially when Uranus gets into Gemini over here. Okay? So you might want to plan for that. I mean, America, we've got it good here compared to a lot of places. But we are extremely vulnerable because a lot of our natural immune system has been destroyed and undermined. We're not dead yet, but we are under extreme duress. We're being invaded by illegals. We're being saturated with evil content, media, news, agendas. It's pretty scary stuff. It might look normal outside your front door, but I guarantee it's not normal. This beautiful place is under extreme duress, okay? TikTok bar. All right, okay. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today. I didn't want to scare anybody. I was trying to focus on the eclipse. Okay, let me go to the eclipse thing here. My feeling is that the world order wants to eclipse national sovereignty. A lot of people are starting to wake up across the world. Thank you to Pluto and Aquarius. And a lot of these people are saying enough is enough. We do not want one world government. We do not want total global enslavement where you will own nothing and you will be happy and you will eat bugs and you will live in a permanent state of financial tyranny and paranoia. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's going to be too much resistance over here, and over here, and inside here. I think there's going to be a movement of we the people, not just in America like 250 years ago, but we the people across the world. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are kind of across the world are going to start shouting, we want what you've got. This is America. We've got this. We still have this. This is still the foundational law of the land. This is our Constitution. And it's heavily, heavily corroded, eroded, and disempowered right now. But it's still alive. It's not dead yet. And even in its extremely fragile state, a lot of other countries across the world are realizing, my God, if this goes down, we all go down. Okay? So, please be aware of how valuable this is. Okay? All right, I'm going to check out now and say goodbye. I did my little rant. Kit Kat. TikTok, give me a piece of the TikTok bar. I know what you're saying. Like referring to Kit Kat, like an old Kit Kat commercial or something. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Take care of yourselves, everybody. I'm going to sign out right now. Toodaloo. I'm going to just sign out. I'm going to do this in such a way that the stream and the delay doesn't ruin the end of the, slice off the end of the video, okay? So we'll see how this works. Let's see if I can do this gracefully.
All I want
at that. There's Bubba, and that's Boo Boo. Can you see why I like them as my friends? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me see what else I can do for that one. Hold on.